Nostradamus' Prophecies of King David, Part 3. This is the 13th of June, 2024. Well, as you might have noticed, YouTube, the bad side, their agents, the workers of evil, are putting a stranglehold on our video numbers. The reason that they're doing this is thus. They are trying to trick you, the people, into thinking that this message is not reaching far and wide, but it is. And they will only revert to these underhand tactics when the information that is being given is indeed factual, truthful, and hitting the bullseye from all angles. So please share this video, share this light to as many people as you possibly can, because in doing so, this will aid in the light of truth shining at its brightest. And when the light shines brightest, no shadow or liars who work for this beast system can bear to touch it or be in its very presence. So be the light and share the light. Thank you from King David and King John. Birth of the third Antichrist. Consequences. Date 2036, Quatrain 936, page 159. Quote, "A great king falls into the hands of a youngster. There is confusion around Easter time and a knife blow. Long-term captives and St. Elmo's fire when three brothers wound and kill each other." End quote. A great fool who sees himself as a great king is Charles the Chump. The only thing he's great at is being a disappointment. His own mother said, "What a gaff, Charles, what a gaff." And Charles was despised by his own stepfather, Philip the broke Greek. Charles the Chump falls into the hands of a youngster, Willie-the-Wimp. The media at this moment are portraying Willie-the-Wimp to be the pillar of strength for Charles, as the media are trying to endear both these usurpers into the hearts of the people, trying to portray them as being heroic and righteous when they are the complete opposite, cowardly and despicable. The confusion was provided by the series of videos released by King John III, myself, relaying information about King David and the true royal bloodline, which caused Charles the Chump and the rest of the Clampets to go into meltdown and put them in a huge state of confusion because someone dared to tell the truth and go against the narrative of their fraudulent game plan. They are still trying to play this out, even though they have no players in the game, because none of them have the breeding, as the King of Kings was and is prophesied to raise out of the Merovingian bloodline. Unfortunately for them, their great hero Willie-the-Wimp has no such breeding, even though they thought he did, believing Diana to be from the Spencer bloodline, who are linked to the Plantagenets. Unfortunately for them, this is not the case. As previously stated by King John III, Diana's real biological father was Sir Jimmy Goldsmith, who actually died 6 weeks before Diana. So for Willie-the-Wimp, in reality, all bets are off, as he has no Merovingian lineage leading back to King David. By happy chance, I know someone who does, King David, the heir of David, who has the highest, purest form of Merovingian blood lineage flowing through his veins, who is a direct descendant of Edward the Black Prince. As the great prophet said, the King of Kings would raise out of the Merovingian bloodline, that is King David, the heir of David, not Willie-the-Wimp. And they know this, and that's why when they're in public, they're looking so very nervous and scared, just in case King David and King John pop out of the shadows. And from J.R.R. Tolkien's poem, "A light from the shadows shall spring." And in private, running around like a pack of headless chickens behind the palace walls. So this is one knife blow from us, but there is another from William. I wonder what the outcome of Kate's abdominal surgery is, William. And confusion upon confusion, where is Kate? And why at Easter time, where there is a series of photos of two different lookalike Kates walking with Willie-the-Wimp? And then there was this terrible, admittedly fake Mother's Day photo of Kate and the horrendously bad deep fake AI generated video of Kate on a bench with no movement in the trees, yet filmed on a windy day. So the confusion here is, if Kate is fine and dandy, why all these fake videos? Has she succumbed to a knife blow? And what is that timely bruise on Willie-the-Wimp's neck? All very confusing to those who don't know the truth. To those who don't know the truth, the media will just do its usual and tug on the heartstrings of the nation to stop them from asking any pesky questions and just say, she has a disease. Is it a coincidence that all the flatline royals are coming down with the same disease at the same time, or is it a cover and an organised PR cover because the two true kings are back and the usurping liars still haven't got the dignity to admit the truth and stand down with any grace? But that is no surprise, because they're all graceless and lower than a snake's ass. And as we said before, a snake's ass drags along the ground and there is nothing lower. The people have been long-term captives to the lie that these non-royals are portrayed as royal by the media. The media is the sewage pipe that sprays this shit out to the public to keep them under a state of hypnosis. Come on, people, wake up. Once you see this to be the case, it will be far easier for King David and King John to set you all free from this wicked bondage that Charles the Chump and his gang of wicked helpers have got you under. The light of truth that King David and King John are releasing at this time is the key ingredient to freedom. It is the key to the cage door. King David and King John are the lights, and St. Elmo's fire, Aurora Borealis, and the signs in the heavens that we've been seeing in the skies show this. The northern lights are not so northern anymore. They are global lights. The great prophet said to look for signs in the sky, and we've all been witness to these great signs since King David and King John have released these series of videos which have brought to the general public's attention the return of the King of Kings and the return of the true King of England. So it is no coincidence that all these series of great events are happening hand in hand together. It is divine for the two true kings and the people. But it is the true definition of nightmare on Elm Street for Charles the Chump and Willie-the-Wimp and the rest of the pack of fools they call family. As for, quote, when three brothers wound and kill each other, end quote, we can all see by the display of brotherly love that we are witnessing in the media, the relationships and goings on between Charles, Andrew, William, Harry, Little Edward, and Simon Charles Day. Well, take your pick, because it's not too harmonious, is it? And the reason why they're all in such a panic and at each other's throats is that they all know they're illegitimate usurpers, and they've heard the rumor, which is true, that the two true kings have returned. The jackals and hyenas are in a heightened state of fear as the two lions have come back to claim their pride lands. The Merovingian King of Kings is back. End of the monarchy in Britain. Date 2040, Quatrain 1040, page 167. The young man born to rule Britain, though commanded by his father, once the father is dead, London will cavil and the kingdom will be taken back from his son. End quote. Quote, the young man Nostradamus is referring to is Willie-the-Wimp. The bad side are excited by his birth as they believe Diana was from the Merovingian lineage. To their disappointment, surprise, surprise, William is not, and neither is Diana. The King of Kings raises from the Merovingian bloodline, and Willie-the-Wimp was going to be their version of the King of Kings, but now he's not even entitled to be the King of Burger King. But the heir of David, King David, is the product of Merovingian breeding. He is the King of Kings, raised out of the Merovingian bloodline. And to their dismay, he met with the other prophesied king, King John, in Dis, which Nostradamus predicted to the month, May 2023. And he called them the two contenders. Back to King David's breeding as the heir of David. He is the purest of the pure of that line. He has the AB negative blood, he has the birthmarks, he has the rings, and as the Merovingian used to call themselves, the long-haired kings, because they believe power came from their long hair due to their lineage to Samson, King David also has long hair. Whereas Willie-the-Wimp has none of the above, and as we all know, he definitely has no long hair, as he has no hair, and he is no hair. Here's a nugget or a bombshell of truth for the people. Have a close look at William, and have a good look at Jacob Rothschild, who was very close with Diana from the beginning of the 1980s through the 1990s, and there is an uncanny similarity in both men's appearances. So I wonder who Willie-the-Wimp's real biological father is. I can give you a heads up, it's not Charles, and by twisted coincidence, Jacob is Charles the Chump's daddy also. So the reference to the father being dead, quote, once the father is dead, London will cavil, end quote, would be Jacob Rothschild, whose death was announced on Monday, the 26th of February, 2024, but he more likely died on the afternoon of Saturday, 24th of February, 2024. The privilege that Jacob's position afforded him as head of the House of Rothschild and financier of the fake British non-royal family was that Jacob had been acting as the king of these isles, and they answered to him as king. So of course Jacob would recommend Charles the Chump and Willie-the-Wimp to take the throne, both the seed of his loins. So I implore all those who are watching this to go to the great altar of Google and type in Jacob Rothschild and William and have a look at the photos of the two of them side by side. As William has grown older, he's grown to look more like his real father. Jacob purchased the lease of the 1756 Spencer House in St James Palace overlooking Green Park, a quarter mile north of Buckingham Palace, in 1985. He spent millions renovating it back to its original state, and at the opening, Jacob's guest of honour was Lady Diana, citing Lord Rothschild and the Royals, who cited the journalist and diarist MP Baron Woodrow Wyatt of Weeford, quote, in the 1980s, Lord Rothschild was more intrigued by Diana than Charles. Rothschild engaged Diana. I liked her very much. She was on hand with Rothschild in November 1990 to officially open the restored house, where Diana said, the most exciting present of her life. Baron Wyatt died 7 December 1997, 98 days after Diana. Wyatt was 79 and Diana was 36. Spencer House was renovated in Diana's honour as Jacob Rothschild thought Diana had bore him their version of the King of Kings. But as we know, this was not the case, as Diana's real biological father was Sir Jimmy Goldsmith, who had no Merovingian lineage. This means no Merovingian blood. Oops, a mistake on their part, but they've carried on with the game plan knowing that they have no real players in the game. Pesky King John and pesky King David have returned and spoiled their game plan because they are the real players, and King David carries the real Merovingian lineage and bloodline. Quote, and the kingdom will be taken back from his son, end quote, is self-explanatory, as King David and King John are in the process of taking everything back from Charles the Chump and Willie-the-Wimp right now. That's why the fake non-royal family are in such a state of panic, because they are about to lose it all. So that's why we are witnessing the frenzied hysteria in their circus media with such things as, quote, 20 things you need to know about Camilla, end quote, avoiding number 1, the Northern Bank robbery, and pictures of Charles and William on days out together, walking hand in hand on the beach, trying to force a smile. William says, shit, King David and King John are back. Charles says, keep smiling. The people might be dumb enough to fall for our lies again, but it's okay, son, or should I say brother, you too can suppress their view numbers. And once the people of London and of the British Isles and of the world know the truth, they will cavil, object, rebel against these false usurpers, because the people will be pleased and happy that the two true kings, the true royal bloodline is back to set the people free, to serve them and not to subjugate them. Hope you enjoyed Nostradamus' Prophecies of King David Part 3. This is King David here, the lion in ascension, winged lion, and this is King John here, the bull in ascension. And this is the triple crown.